Hey guys, I hope you're well. So this is slightly different from my usual format of videos, but I've just come across a video on Facebook that's actually quite alarming, but in some ways not surprising. Um, Now, most of us who are around my age or younger are aware of the Resident Evil movies and games, which is basically that a virus is created in a lab that somehow gets out into the environment and everybody becomes infected um, in some form or another. And I've just seen a video from the FBI in which two people have been arrested um, in connection with transporting biological items, samples to China. One was a US national and the other person was a Chinese national. Um, and they were both being paid by the Chinese government to get these samples. And sorry, I think in fact there was three people, and two of them were working in cancer research, and they were taking obviously collected samples of cancer cells back over to China. And it's just like it's really weird because like this whole isolation thing, like all I can think about is the Resident Evil games, and I know a lot of people feel the same way, and there's a lot of like weird little coincidences, and I'm not one for conspiracy theories at all, but this one just makes too much sense. um and after this video had finished of the guy from the FBI talking, it was actually news from China in which there is a biochemical lab 280 feet away from Wuhan market where all this apparently began. And someone who works there has even said that they were testing on bats, certain diseases and things like that. So it's possible that one of these bats was actually being sold onto the market or escaped somehow, and then that's how it spread. You know, there is also possibly the fact as well that this is very, very likely considering the fact that China are extremely overpopulated and wouldn't put it past. Yeah, I wouldn't put it past the Chinese government to try and get rid of their people, to try and get rid of some of the population, is to actually release this on purpose. But I don't think that they intended for it to be a worldwide thing. And I think that's why they've come forward now and admitted it, because they don't want to be held accountable for all the deaths across the world. They were only planning to do it within their own government, their own jurisdiction. Um, and like I said, I'm not one for conspiracy theories, but I'm just like this. That makes far too much sense. Like I don't think, like Resident Evil, that it was intentional, or maybe it was, but it wasn't. If that makes sense, like it wasn't meant to happen at the time that it happened. Um, but you know, why would you have something like that next to a market? Like, I don't understand the logic in that, but then again, you know, none of this is logical. Um, but there are, you know, it is a well-known fact that certain animals do carry a form of the coronavirus, and it has somehow mutated from an animal to a human, you know. And obviously new diseases, viruses come up all the time. You know, it's not something new, but it's it's just too realistic to ignore. But yeah, similarly to the Resident Evil games, I don't think they intended for it to get this big. You see, diseases aren't necessarily man-made apart from the AIDS virus.
Mommy.
AIDS or HIV, one of those are man-made, I know that for sure, but you know, this is something that's already existed in nature and they've manipulated it, you know, and China, as it stands, is under a dictatorship. They can't even access YouTube because of the restrictions, you know, and there were Chinese people who were posting videos on the internet, on YouTube somehow, and they've either gone missing or been killed. So, you know, it just goes to show how much the Chinese government is trying to control their people. And I don't understand why, but I suppose because although technically at the moment it does feel like Britain is under a dictatorship sometimes, like why they feel the need to control their people that much, you know, to block them out from the rest of the world. I mean, what made the whole thing worse is the lack of sanitation that they have, because they're still using holes in the ground to go to the toilet. You know, it's not very sanitary at all, you know. And then obviously you have people coming to China who are on business, or Chinese nationals being tourists in places like Italy. Italy is a big one for them. London, Manchester, big ones as well. But then obviously there's people who are travelling there for business or holidays or whatever, and they're contracting it as well. I don't, like I said, I don't think they intended for it to get this big or go this far, and that's why all this has come out now. But you know, the FBI were aware for a few years of what was going on, but obviously they had to wait for the right moment, because even though they were taking this biological, you know, just biological things, you know, they had no proof they were using for anything, you know, what's it called, illegal, you know, with any malicious intent. But it's obvious now that there is, and obviously everything happens for a reason, and I'm a spiritual person, and I do believe that this has happened to kind of show the world who the real evil people and good people are, and to, well, it's not like Darwinism, but kind of show people that being selfish and foolish isn't going to get you anywhere, and it's better to come together and as one. And I mean, I do feel, I feel spiritually, you know, that it is going to be over soon, and it has happened for a specific reason. Whether you share the same views or not, you know, that's up to you. I'm not here to force my views or beliefs on anyone, you know, but when I saw that video, I knew instantly that it had stemmed from that lab and not from the actual market itself. It had stemmed from the lab. Just bear with me a second. And I just, you know, I just want to remind everyone that it's not a look out for yourself kind of situation. It's not like that at all. And if you think like that, then, you know, karma and the light will find you in some way, and show you that that is wrong. You know, I am a strong believer in karma, and I believe people who do bad and selfish things will realise in their biggest time of need that those actions, those ways of thinking do not serve you. You know, the same with dictatorships and things like that. You're not achieving anything other than segregating people and creating situations like this. But I do feel this is an opportunity for all of us to learn, to be kinder to each other, to be kinder to animals, to respect nature, not to mess with it for the... I mean, I suppose they thought that, well, they're kind of giving the impression that they're doing it to try and learn more about diseases and help people, but I do feel to a degree that their government have done it to control them, to try and bring down the population in some way. Because, you know, they've been trying to control the population for years. And the crazy thing is, I think in Japan there's more women than there is men, and in China there's more men than there is women. So why don't they, you know, bring them together to kind of even it out. But and these markets, while I'm on the topic, are barbaric. They're absolutely barbaric. I mean, they eat live animals, and they were purporting that the source of the coronavirus came from, and I think it's called is it a pandolin? It's like a form of armadillo that's native to China. Um, but even things like they eat bats, frogs, they eat frogs live and things like that, and they've got live animals mixed with dead animals, which obviously isn't very healthy anyway. And I know that the markets are their biggest source of income, but surely in the day and age that we're living in, there's a better way of dealing with things. But then, yet again, they're under a dictatorship, so they don't know any different. But it's just absolutely barbaric, and it should teach us a lot about how to treat animals as well as other people. I wouldn't be surprised if in a few years' time someone makes a video game about all this, because it literally feels like it's out of a Resident Evil game. It's just crazy, honestly, and I'm shocked at how selfish people are being. Like, literally, I'm shocked and terrified for the human race. I mean, obviously, I know that there's survival and things like that, but the people who have been selfish like that are the ones that deserve to kind of get killed first in horror movies or games. That's what I'm saying, because it's just ridiculous. Hopefully this time of isolation will bring us closer together as families and partnerships, and I do feel there is going to be a huge baby boom from this. But hopefully it just helps us to repair as a human race, as a species, as a planet. But I do fully believe now, with seeing that video, that it has come from that lab, and I do have a strong gut instinct that it was created on purpose to try and introduce it to control the population in some way, and it's got out of hand, and so they've had to come forward and they've had to be brought to justice in some way for the things that they've done. But yeah, I just want everyone to remember to be safe. Don't try and buy into the hype too much. Don't buy into the hysteria. We will be okay. We will get through this. It's coming towards an end now. In the next 3 weeks, myself and a few other psychics that I speak to regularly strongly feel it's going to be kind of really slowing down over the next 3 weeks or so. But please remain safe. Please take care of yourselves. If anyone has any other information to back up this information, just to kind of give me peace of mind that I'm correct with this, then please feel free to share it. If you have any other theories, then share those as well. I'm happy to and open to all of them. Genuinely, I am, because I'm trying to find the answers myself to this. All I know is that there's a greater purpose behind this, which will turn out to be beneficial, but the way it's happened is barbaric and cruel, obviously. But that's all for me for now, guys. Take care, be safe, and be well.